Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Fanboy Reviews Countdown. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 worst PS Vita games ever released. So the PS Vita has been out for a couple of years now, and it's had its share of quality but also some really bad, terrible games, and this list will feature them all. Alright, number 1. Asphalt Injection came out in late 2011 but also early 2012 in the North American region. This was a horrendous racing game and one of the worst launch titles in handheld history. Asphalt Injection is basically a cheap iOS mobile phone game that hardly adds anything different on the PS Vita, except marking up the price to absurd proportions. It's way too expensive for absolutely limited content. The graphics look very dated, and it looks like it could be from 2004 and could easily fit on the PSP, a previous generation handheld. The tracks are boring and lifeless, and the difficulty is pretty much non-existent. I mean, this game, it's not even too easy. It's completely unchallenging. This game makes Ridge Racer look like Burnout 7. Ugh, what a waste. Alright, coming in at number 2, Dragon's Crown. That's right, came out in 2013. So Dragon's Crown is basically a crappy 2D fantasy action RPG, and this is just a cheap ripoff of Golden Axe for the Sega Genesis, and other side-scrolling beat-em-up style games such as King of Dragons and Knights of the Round. That's right, you know, old like 90s arcade games. You can select various preset characters. We've all seen them a million times. You know, you got the fighter, the wizard, the elf, the dwarf, all that nonsense, but it's so unoriginal and lame. I mean, this pathetic Dragon's Crown has no cool characters. The graphics and art style also looks terrible, and doesn't look nearly as good as other games like the Uncharted Golden Abyss, or even, you know, Killzone Mercenary. I mean, it's not even in 3D. It's a Vita game, it's not even in 3D. Dragon's Crown stinks. Coming in at number 3, Final Fantasy X X2 HD Remaster. Came out in 2013. But, I mean, really, how does Square Enix stay afloat as a publisher and gaming company? By rehashing and re-releasing old games from the past, of course. You know, these games are like 11, 13 years old, and you expect me to be excited? What kind of lazy excuse is this? Besides, the upgrades were lacking and the added features were absolute garbage and useless. This just proves that Square Enix are a bunch of hacks with no fresh ideas or new material, and I really hope they go out of business soon. I mean, only Square idiots would keep wasting their money on these rehashes. These are old PS2 games that nobody in their right mind would buy all over again. I mean, what is this? I mean, they have no new ideas? Pathetic. Coming in at number 4, Wise Memory of Calcutta, or is that Calcutta? Calcutta? Is this set in India or something? Anyway, it came out in 2012. Another typical action RPG. You know, we've seen these Y games a million times, or Ys, you know. I mean, the combat sucks because it's set in real time. That's right, it's a real-time RPG. You know, it's not even turn-based or strategy style. Action RPGs are absolutely terrible and boring because they're mindless, and it just sucks because you can only use up to 3 characters at a time. Yeah, 3 characters. How lame is that? And then you got the Y story itself, really terrible. It sucked. You know, it's about some idiot named Adol Kristen's lost memories, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Coming in at number 5 is Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Yes, this was originally on the PSP. This is a PSP game. It came out in 2010, but then the Vita got its version in 2013 for some reason. It's not even a game. This is not even a game. It's a crappy murder mystery, visual novel type of garbage that isn't even fun or exciting. It's got other media tie-ins like novels, manga, an anime TV show. So, they're trying to, try to copy Western franchises like Harry Potter. They're trying to do the whole multimedia thing. The story sucked. It's very confusing, basically, especially for American Western audiences, because it's so convoluted. The characters are very unlikable. Can't really get into the characters, and the voiceovers are so annoying. You'll want to keep the volume muted. Ugh. Coming in at number 6 is Tearaway. Tearaway from 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the PS Vita's quintessential gimmick game. Yes, in an attempt to take your money, it seems like every system just has to have that one gimmicky game which applies some sort of cheap controls, gimmick sensors. And Tearaway, this one is the PS Vita's, maybe a version of the Kinect games, the PS Move, the Wii Sports, well, this is the Vita's version of that. You got the various inputs, but they're useless. The gameplay mechanics suck. The story is pretty stupid. The game is way too short, so doesn't even have good length. It's not even worth 2 seconds. It ends so quickly. These platformers are so done. It's 2014, and it's not even worth it. A platformer. Yeah, talk about a finished genre. Coming in at number 7, Killzone Mercenary. Came out in 2013. This is a very poor title, and unfortunately, the poor PS Vita has barely any FPS shooters that are worth checking out, if any. But Killzone Mercenary is easily the worst out of all of them. First of all, the story elements and the setting, it just completely rips off the past Killzone games, Killzone 2, 3, Liberation. Even the first one for the PS2, so it's not original at all. It just keeps coming back to the same settings. The graphics look like crap compared to the PS4's visuals. It feels very last gen. It doesn't feel current gen at all, or next gen. The campaign is far too short. Here we go with a short campaign again. The missions are way too terrible, and they're not fun. They should be better, but the level structures are terrible. They stink. There's really not a lot of replay value at all, and you don't feel like there's freedom in the game. There's not a lot of that sense of freedom. Terrible. Coming in at number 8 is LittleBigPlanet PS Vita. That's right, it came out in 2012. This is another garbage puzzle platformer in the tedious LittleBigPlanet franchise. The PS Vita version is easily one of the most terrible of them all. Sackboy looks like an idiot with his usual stupid face. The touchscreen controls is just cumbersome and very time wasting. The platforming itself is way too familiar, and it's like the same old. It's way too much like there's no innovation. It's the same crap. They basically just copy and pasted like the previous LittleBigPlanet games on the PS Vita. The multiplayer is pretty much broken and laggy, so yeah, good luck trying to play this multiplayer. The story mode challenges are way too easy, and the overall presentation is way too kiddified. It's way too childish. Where's the grittiness? Where's the M-rated stuff? Where's the violence? This is way too much for kids. Coming in at number 9 is MASA Rebirth. This originally came out on the Wii. Yeah, the Wii, back in 2009. But it came out on the Vita in 2013. You know, it's just another cheap rehash on the Vita, an old game coming back. This one was a Wii game, but then the Vita version, just another pile of trash port, because the graphics look even worse and the art style is way too cartoonish. It's unrealistic. You know, it's got this 2D crap. Nobody plays 2D games. Especially because the Vita screen is way too small for the graphics. It takes away from the visual, you know, presentation of it. The music sounds like, you know, terrible feces, and the gameplay is repetitive, way too repetitive, and gets old really quickly. 2D games are for losers who can't afford next-gen 3D graphics in games like Titanfall and infamous Second Son. And to round out this list of the top 10 worst PS Vita games of all time, number 10 is Persona 4 Golden. Oh, God! Came out in 2012! You know, Persona 4 originally came out way back in 2008. Did we see a pattern here? Just a bunch of old rehashes, games that came out in previous generations and systems from yesteryear, coming out on the Vita. This one originally came out on the PS2 back in 2008, of course, so this is another hackneyed title to try to make money off these old franchises. It's like they can't create anything new. First of all, JRPGs always sucked since the beginning. You know, nothing's good about JRPGs. The story is about some nonsensical crap about rescuing people from the TV world. You know, the battle system is very weak, doesn't offer much in terms of replayability. There's too much text to sit through and read, you know, you're just always reading. This is not school. This is supposed to be a game. You're not supposed to be reading, you're supposed to be playing. Why would you be stupid enough to buy this crap twice, more than once? I mean, it's really pathetic. Play a real game. Play a real game like Titanfall for the Xbox One. That's a way better experience, way better game than this JRPG garbage. Alright, so that's it for the top 10 worst PS Vita games ever. And you know what? The PS Vita's been out for well over 2 years, and these are some of the most terrible ones so far. I'm sure they're gonna have even more crappy games, but for now, these are definitely the top 10 to avoid and never even consider buying. Unless you're a complete pathetic noob.